Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to those of you that are joining us from the West Coast. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll here. Thank you for all of you that participated. And Ken, we can kind of review these results here when we get started, but I'm going to go ahead and close the poll so that everyone can see our presentation. My name is Amanda Duran. I am the Program Coordinator for the Ohio Bird Conservation Initiative, and this webinar is being brought to you as part of our Wednesday webinar series, Lunch with the Birds, which is designed to present general public with different topics related to birds, bird conservation, and this is, I think, our sixth webinar in the series so far. So thank you again, all of you, for joining us today. I also want to invite you to join us for our next webinar, which will be on January 15th, 2014, from 12 to 1 p.m. again. The webinars are always on the third Wednesday of the month. And our topic next month will be the owls of Ohio, and our speaker will be Jim McCormick. So we're definitely looking forward to that webinar. And to register for that webinar and also to view recordings of our archived webinars, please visit our website at www.obcinet.org/lunchwiththebirds. And again, the webinar recording from today will be posted at that site, as well as you can view videos from all of our past webinars there as well, and register for upcoming webinars. So now I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce our presenter today. His name is Ken Ostermiller. We're very excited to have him with us. Ken enjoys bird watching and remembers his first bird identification from when he was 7 years old, which was a yellow-shafted flicker, of course now a northern flicker. He enjoys observing the common birds of an area as much as seeking the rare birds. As a volunteer, he reviews suggestions of bird reporting hotspots in Ohio for eBird, which of course is the topic of our webinar today. It's an online checklist program launched in 2002 by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and the National Audubon Society. Ken is a retired educator and a United Church of Christ minister, and he likes having time in retirement to follow his interest in birds. So with that, I would like to welcome Ken. And also, if anyone has any questions throughout the webinar, I invite you to enter them in the chat box. And Ken will either address them as he goes or hold some of the questions for the end. But please, if you're having any problems, I'll try to address them through the chat box as well. So with that, welcome, Ken.
Thanks, and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us and trying to learn a little bit about eBird as we take time during our lunch hour to do that. Thanks for answering the poll questions. It looks like we've got a variety of experiences with eBird, but at least most of you know how to find the website. The address is very simple. It's eBird.org, and a free program. There's no cost to use it, although it's organized by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology and the National Audubon Society, and those of us who are members or contribute to those organizations help support eBird. eBird has 6 sections to it. There's the eBird homepage, which gives information about some current articles from the eBird staff. There's an About eBird page, which we'll look at in a minute. And there's an Explore Data section of eBird. These first 4 sections I'm going to point to. You can look at whether or not you have an eBird account. The help section is also available to you. You need an eBird account if you want to submit observations or you want to explore the data you've entered in eBird, which is in My eBird. And we'll be taking a look at each of these sections this noon. If you have questions at any point along this presentation, please type them into the chat box, and I'll be glad to try to respond to them. Since most of you are either new to eBird or have an account and perhaps you don't use it much, we'll help you focus on the basics of the eBird website. Let's take a look about eBird and some of the things eBird can do for us. eBird helps us by recording the birds we see. It gives you an opportunity to keep a record of the birds that you see. Many of us already keep a record in some form, but this is a way of putting it into a place where it's available for both you and it's available for science and conservation. It helps you keep track of your bird lists, and it does that in a number of different ways. It keeps track of the birds you report in world areas of the world, in your country, in your state, and even in the counties. And we'll take a look at that a little later when we examine my eBird. eBird also provides us an opportunity to explore data that everyone's entered into eBird, and to do that through looking at maps and graphs and charts, and I think that's one of the most helpful features of eBird. It allows you to share your sightings and join the eBird community. We have people who participate in eBird who go to eBird to look for birds that are being seen in particular areas, and I'll show you how to find that kind of data. And probably for me, most important, eBird allows me to make this bird watching hobby something that contributes to science and conservation both now and for the future. You know, I know a lot of really good birders who have records of the birds they've seen. Some of us have them in lists that are tucked into bird books. Some of us have those lists stored in filing cabinets. A few of us have even gone so far as to enter the data about the birds we've seen on our own computers. And the trouble is, once we're gone, that data's gone. And eBird gives us the opportunity to put that data in a place where it's available for research for now and for the future. So it's one of the things that I personally like about eBird, and one of the reasons I'm committed to doing, to participating in eBird. If you don't have an eBird account, signing up for one is really very simple. When you're not signed in, you can see here I could sign out, but I don't want to do that because I'll lose the my own account here. But you get a page where you enter the information you need to set up an eBird account, and it's pretty simple. Just your first name and your last name, your email address, and a username. The username can be your email address or some other characters, numbers that you typically use for logging into accounts. And you create a password and confirm it. And then eBird will pop up another screen asking for a bit more information. You've already entered the required information, and you enter your street address, your city, your state, and your phone number. So that this is basically the information about you that eBird needs for you to have an account. eBird doesn't share email addresses. The email addresses are used in two ways in eBird. One is when you submit a checklist, that checklist is reviewed by a reviewer in your state for any rare birds, and if there are questions, the reviewer may contact you using your email address about the sightings you submitted, or if you submit a suggestion of a location where you birded as an eBird hotspot, the reviewer in Ohio, that's me, will get a message, you've made that suggestion, and sometimes I have questions about the places that have been suggested. So signing up for eBird is really simple and is easy to do. The eBird help section we'll take a look at is a place you go when you want to learn how to do something in eBird, and a number of you are, since you're new to eBird, might want to go here and look at this Getting Started section. The eBird Quick Start Guide is very helpful in giving you guidance in how to begin entering data into eBird. There's also a section here you can see on the right where you can ask questions and the community will get back to you with replies. So this help section in eBird is available from every page and is a place that you should go when you have questions about eBird. Well, let's go back and see what eBird can do for us. I'm going to click on the Explore Data tab, and this tab provides us tools for examining data that other birders, including you, if you've submitted some data, have entered into eBird. Now, we won't have time to look at all of these tools this noon, but let's assume that you're coming to Ohio and you're going to go birding next spring at McGee Marsh, and you're wondering, what are the birds I typically could expect to see at McGee Marsh in the spring during that biggest week in American birding that we have here in Ohio. These bar charts are ideal for that, and I use this often when I'm traveling because when I'm in a new place, the birds that I see at home may not be the birds I'm going to see there, and it sure helps me to have a notion of what birds I might expect to see. So you click on the bar chart, and we're going to go try to find out what birds we might see at McGee Marsh. We're in Ohio, so I'm going to find Ohio here. And McGee Marsh has several hotspots set up in Ohio, so I'm going to click on the hotspots. And one little trick about this tool is then you have to click on Continue to see the hotspots. And I found that if I use my search tool in my browser, helps if I type right, it will find the hotspots for the place I'm looking for. You can see there are 9 hotspots set up for McGee Marsh, and I'm going to click the check box next to each of them. And going to go back up to the top of the page and click Continue, and eBird's going to think for a few minutes and collect all the data that's been submitted at McGee Marsh in the years 1900 to the present time. You can see that 290 species of birds have been reported at McGee Marsh. The the bar chart symbols are larger when more checklists have that particular bird reported on them. So these reports with tiny lines, there are fewer reports of those birds. You'd expect that people would report fewer snow geese than they do Canadees. But this gives you a list of all the birds that have been seen over those years at McGee Marsh. Now, I'm going to be there in the spring, so I'd like to see just the birds that I might expect to see in the spring. And so if I click on change date here, I can click on the spring migration and click on continue. And eBird has to think a little bit. And now I'm seeing just the birds that have been reported in the spring at McGee Marsh. And I want to narrow this down even a little bit more. I want to see just the birds that have been reported on that famous boardwalk at McGee Marsh, where you can see some of these warblers even without binoculars. And by clicking on that hotspot name, I'm now seeing just the birds that have been reported at McGee Marsh in the spring on the boardwalk. You can see it's still a pretty good long list, and you can scroll down here to the warblers.
Hey Ken, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I had a question here, and I'm also sort of questioning the same thing. To me, it looks like I'm still seeing January through December there, and not just the spring. You picked out spring migration. Can you explain maybe why we're still seeing that?
Well, it's still showing you the bar chart for the whole year, but it's limited the list of birds to those that are seen in the spring. So you're not going to see anything in March, April, or May that doesn't have some data in the spring. Good question.
Okay, thank you.
And I can scroll down, and here you can see the list of warblers. Now, one of the nice things about the bar chart is that for every species, it has a link to a map of where the birds have been reported for a particular species, and this takes us to the map explorer. And this is a Tennessee warbler. And we're just seeing reports for March through May for all years. I can change that to year-round for all years. And we'll look at this in a little different way in a few moments. I'm going to take a look if you want to define snowy owls, which is something people are currently interested in trying to find. Let me back up here. Another thing you could do, Amanda had asked, gee, this seems like it's only showing me, it's showing me the whole year here. It does show you when the birds are here for the whole year. But if I wanted to know what birds are on the boardwalk in December, I can click on the month. Now you see here there are 257 species seen in the spring. If I click on December, you see it drops down to 31 species. So there aren't as many birds at McGee Marsh in the winter time. And in fact, you can see these weeks of the year where there are little gray blocks, those are the weeks where we have no checklists reported to eBird. So in late November, December, and January, birders have not been submitting data at McGee Marsh, even though there are thousands of checklists reported there. We could certainly use more data for what birds are actually at McGee Marsh in the wintertime. Not seeing any questions coming in, so I'm going to charge right ahead. But if you do have questions along the way, please feel free to type them into the chat box, and it may be easier to address them when they're related to something that I've just shown you than to go back and do it later. Well, let's go back to the Explorida, and some of you might be interested in knowing where you can see snowy owls. They're certainly showing up in big numbers. Range and point maps give us data about where people are seeing birds. I'm going to type snowy owl here and select it. And I'm going to zero in on Ohio. If you don't live in Ohio, you could zoom in on your own state. And if you click Show Points Sooner over here, it should be showing me points. Well, let's zoom in a little. There we go. Now, what this tool is showing us is where people have seen snowy owls year-round, all years, but the locations in red are recent sightings within the last 30 days. The markers in blue are older sightings, over 30 days ago, but you can see eBirders have reported a number of snowy owl sightings in the Cleveland area. And I'm going to use this zoom in tool to zoom in right there to Cleveland. And you can see that they've been reported along the lakefront in Cleveland. And a number of them have been reported here at the Edgewater Park in Cleveland. And you can even look at a checklist of that's been reported. We'll take a look. I know this one has, in November, had some pictures in it. So now we're looking at the checklist of Rich and Karen Kassoff that they reported on November 30th. So you can use eBird to find where people are seeing birds that you're interested in looking at. And if you want to know more about this particular hotspot, there's an Explore Hotspot link, which takes you to a page showing you what birders have reported there. And there's even a Get Directions link here. So if I wanted to get to that hotspot, it opens Google Maps, and it would allow me to click on directions. And if I wanted to get there from my home, it tells me from where I live in southern Medina County, it'll take me about 45 minutes to get up there to that location to look for that bird. So eBird gives you tools that can help you connect to where you might see birds, and I think it's a pretty cool and helpful opportunity for us. I see a question here. I work at a park district and we are new to eBird. Is there a way to have an observation kiosk set up for visitors to plug in data without logging in? Natalie, yes, that there is. I've seen such kiosks at some of the national wildlife refuges, and I'd suggest, if you're interested in that, that you contact eBird staff about that. They could help you with that. Great question, thanks. Okay, so let's go back to explore data. Suppose you wanted to find a different bird. Right now, I'm wondering, are people seeing rough-legged hawks? Oh, helps if you can type. And again, I'm going to zoom into Ohio. Not quite as many red spots as the snowy owls, but you can see the rough-legged hawks, which are a winter bird in Ohio, are showing up. This area down here is, I believe, Killdeer Plains. Looks like some people have seen some there. Again, in the Cleveland area. These smaller markers are personal locations. Here's someone who's seen one in Wayne County recently. And again, if you go to Gabe's checklist and you want to look at the area where he's seen that, you can click on map. And click on directions, and you can get there from eBird. So eBird gives you an opportunity to find where people are seeing birds and how to find them. In Ohio, we have set up a website that describes all the locations in Ohio, all the eBird hotspots, and in Ohio are coming to this page for that kind of information, but we've also put on the page a gadget that draws data from eBird that shows the rare bird sightings in the last 14 days in Ohio. So it's showing you where people are seeing rare birds in Ohio in the past 2 weeks. I've got similar information about each county in Ohio. So if I went to Cuyahoga County, this is showing you all the hot spots in Cuyahoga County, and this is showing you all the bird sightings in the past 30 days in the county. If you click on rarities, it will show you the rare birds that have been seen in a particular county. The website for this is Ohio eBird Hotspots, all one word, .wikispaces.com. You can find it if you search in Google or Bing for birding in Ohio. This website comes out very very high on the page. So if you're interested in learning more about the hotspots and locations in Ohio, we've got lots of information available. There are similar websites for Missouri, New Hampshire, and there's one being built for New York State currently. Those of us who manage the hotspots are taking an interest in trying to provide you more information about the hotspot locations in the states. eBird itself has a hotspot explorer that's in a beta state that gives you information about the hotspots. Let's go to Ohio again and zoom in a little bit so that we actually see the hotspots. And eventually, eBird staff hopes to integrate the kind of thing we've done with the hotspots to give you more information about them. One of the nice things is I think hotspot is a kind of misnomer. The names of these locations, they're really shared bird reporting locations, and some are hotter than others, and they've given you a clue about that in a color code on this map. So the hotter the color, the more bird species have been reported at that particular hotspot. Here's Killdeer Plains, and here's the general location for Killdeer Plains. You can see 1,000 checklists have been submitted there. So there is a hotspot explorer built into eBird with lots of good information, not quite as specific as we've developed in Ohio, but eventually they hope to improve that and give you more opportunity to look at hotspots. Well, let's take a look at how eBird helps us keep track of the birds we've seen. And that's at the My eBird page. And I'm going to click the Major Regions tab here. Now this is my personal list of birds I've reported to eBird. And it's keeping track of those birds in a number of different ways. It keeps track of the major regions of the world. It keeps track of them by country. It keeps track of them by state or province. Interestingly enough, even though I live in Ohio, I've seen more birds in Texas, although Ohio's catching up slowly but surely. It also keeps track of the birds by county. And again, interestingly, I live in Medina County, but I've seen the most species of birds in Lucas County up near McGee Marsh. So the way you submit a checklist to eBird is you click on Submit Observations, and there are several options here, but I find the easiest way is to try to find the place I birded on a map, and I'm going to enter Ohio here. And it brings up a map of Ohio. One nice thing about this mapping tool is it allows you to search it. So I was birding in Wayne County at Funk Bottoms. Isn't that a great name for a wildlife area? And it zooms way in, so I'm going to zoom out a little bit and look at the hot spots that are there. And then you select the hotspot. This is the main location at Funk Bottoms. It's called Funk Bottoms Wildlife Area. It's the tower. And once you've got the location that you want to submit your list to, you click on continue. You can, if you say, oops, that's not the right place, we were really down here on Wilderness Road, you can click on hotspots to see what the names are, and it keeps changing over here. But I was at the tower, so I'll click continue. And then you get the date and effort and have to enter that information. So let's say I saw a Ross's goose there and entered it. Now eBird, before I could submit this, is going to ask me to give more information about any rare sighting that I've seen. And if I don't enter information, the reviewer in Ohio is going to email me and ask me for more info about any rare bird sightings. Usually the reviewers don't get back to you about 20 Canada geese, but if I reported a Ross's goose, they're probably going to be in touch with me about that. Once you're done with your list, eBird is asking you, are you submitting a complete checklist of all the birds that you were able to identify? If you can check yes, that's telling eBird not only that you're reporting on the birds that you saw, you're also saying, those are the only birds I saw. I didn't see other birds, and that's very helpful in terms of research. You click submit to submit the list, and since this is a list that I've already got an eBird, I'm not going to click submit to do that. Now, there's a question here about entering a life list. Let me see if I can address that. I'm going to go back to the eBird website. I did enter my life list. I had records in bird books and other places of the location and the month and year that we first saw most birds. So I used that to build my life list. And let's go look at my eBird, and let's go. So this northern flicker that I remember seeing when I was 7, I reported at Higgins Lake in Michigan, and I reported it as an incidental sighting, so all I needed was the date and the place. And I said I wasn't entering a complete checklist. So one of the things that you can do is enter into eBird. If you've got the date and the place you saw a bird, you can enter it that way. You can enter data at the county level. Let's go to submit observations, and you can enter data at, let's say, you saw the bird in Lucas County, Ohio. So you can enter data using that location. Now, if you don't know the date, the eBird protocol here is to put January 1st, 1900 as the date. Incidental. Didn't like that. And I don't think it requires you to do a time, but you could put a time in. And then put a building life list note in the comment field so the reviewer will know that you're building your life list. And then continue and enter whatever birds you want. You could actually do, the more specific you can be about the place, the better it is. Although any data that you report to eBird at the county level will not go into the larger research database. So the eBird reviewer is going to mark any records that are submitted at the county level as not a part of the big research database. Actually, researchers could get that kind of data if they wanted it out of eBird, but it doesn't show up in eBird reports. So I hope that's helpful about the question about how do you enter data from your life list into eBird. All right. Natalie, if you have the species but not where you saw them, you could enter them into a January 1st, 1900 list and make it a list building type of record. When I'm leading field trips, our focus is usually on folks' ID birds, not on censusing. So should I just enter species seen, not numbers, and then indicate incidental? Yeah, probably if your purpose was really not to do the bird census, the incidental would be appropriate there. You can enter X as the number. Although eBird, there's a good article in the help section on why an estimate is always better than putting X down, but sometimes you're not in a place where you can count. So entering the presence of a species is more helpful than not entering it at all. One of the things I wanted to show you, we've got a couple minutes here. When I first started birding, I was keeping day lists, and eBird actually allows you to retrieve that kind of data. So let's suppose I wanted to know how many birds I saw last May during the spring migration. So I'm going to get a week report for May 1st, 2013, and it's showing me all the places I birded in that week, and you've got to select the places that you want to report on. I'm going to select them all, and eBird thinks for a moment. So, in the first 7 days of May, we must have gone up to McGee Marsh. If I get 105 species in a day, that's a big day for me. I'm really tired after doing that kind of day of birding. So I no longer keep a day list when I'm out birding because I can get it from eBird in this kind of play. Instead, I work at recording birds at a particular location. I've added counting to my birding routine, and actually I think I'm a better observer because I try to estimate the numbers of birds that I'm seeing. It used to be, I'd check off cardinal, the first place I visited, and I wouldn't pay any attention to the cardinals for the rest of the day. Well, cardinals are kind of interesting birds, and observing how many there are helps you look at the environment in a whole different way. So I've really come to like that eBird asks us to count and estimate the number of birds. Well, Amanda, how are we doing time-wise? I've taken up most of this hour, so.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. That was a wonderful presentation. I know I learned a lot. I hope everyone else did also. If you have any last-minute questions here, please feel free to submit them now. I just wanted to remind everyone again that I will be sending out a recording of the webinar so that you can feel free to share it with your friends and anyone else that you think might be interested. And we got a question here from Linda asking how to delete a list.
Okay, I can show you real quick. You go to My eBird and manage my observations. This shows you all the bird lists that you've submitted, and delete is one of the options. I'm not going to do it, but you can also view or edit any list you've already submitted. eBird also has the option of sharing that list. Say you birded with 3 or 4 other people and they don't want to re-enter a list that they know you're going to enter. You can share the list with them, and it appears in their eBird account as well as yours. Okay.
Great. All right. Well, thank you again, and thank you everyone for attending. And I welcome any suggestions you have for upcoming webinars. So feel free to share those with me. My email address is obcicoordinator@gmail.com, and I hope to see you all again at a future webinar. So thank you so much.